or it doesn't, and just had my computer just freeze just before we're going live. So thank you so much for being here tonight. I just want to let you know who's out there tonight. I'd love to know who you are, and put your name in the chat. Let me know where you're from so we can kind of get a sense of the community of nurse educators that's out there tonight. As I said, my name is Keith. I'm the CEO of Keith RN, and really my passion with Keith RN as an organization is to really transform and serve the needs of nurse educators by creating active learning resources to develop the clinical judgment that your students require for safe practice and licensure. And if you'd like to learn more about what I'm doing, just go to my website, keithrn.com. And I've got a free case study on COVID-19 I'd like to share with you, a blog, other resources that you can take advantage of. And I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight. And if you're checking this live stream out for the first time, my passion is to really, again, support the needs of educators with practical strategies, tools, and ways that we can innovate nursing education together. And this live stream this conversation we're going to have tonight is recorded. It's on my Facebook page, Keith RN, Think Like a Nurse. And you can simply go to that, go to the videos header, and you can download this link if you or your colleagues were unable to make it, as well as other topics that we've done on a lot of conversations with other educators who are really innovating nursing education, as well as some of the strategies and tools that I've shared as well. And as we look at a new year, new beginning, one of the things that I really embrace is living life with no regrets, no what ifs. We have one life. We don't want to waste it, or we don't want to basically miss opportunities. And really the story tonight, I've got Dr. Jenna Barton, who's a student advisor for the doctoral program at William Carey University, with me tonight. And she's also the representative of the same program that I went to and just successfully completed my PhD 2 years ago and just graduated here last August. But the story, kind of the back end story, is that I met Dr. Karen Sicard at a conference 3 years ago where I was presenting, and she was a representative for William Carey, a private liberal Christian arts program in Mississippi. And she told me about, shared my studies, I shared my case studies, my resources, and she said, Keith, you need to do your own research on your topic, which is really bringing out unfolding case studies to teach clinical reasoning and judgment and see if that makes a difference. Well, I didn't have my doctorate. And she shared that I wasn't interested in a 3 to 5 year process. I was 55 years old. But she shared that they have an accelerated program with a guided dissertation process that made it possible to get a PhD in 2 years. And so I learned more, took the plunge about a year later, and Dr. Jenna Barton, who's with me tonight, was my student advisor, who from the very beginning guided me through the waters of pursuing my PhD and successfully completing, keeping me on track, keeping me on the rails, which, if you know me, that can be a challenge. And so I'm just really blessed to have Dr. Barton with me tonight. I want to just introduce you to her. Dr. Barton received her MSN and PhD in nursing education and administration from William Carey University as well. Her clinical backgrounds includes emergency, ambulatory, and LTAC nursing. She currently teaches at the undergraduate and graduate levels and is the program coordinator for both the Master's in Science and Nursing program, the PhD program, as well as the DNP to PhD program at William Carey University, and as well as the student advisor for doctoral students, keeping everybody on track. And so I'm just really blessed to have Dr. Barton with us today. And Dr. Barton, you're in a little warmer climate. I'm here in Minnesota where we have plenty of snow, and you're like, yeah, there's no snow in Mississippi. I understand.
Well, there was some in North Mississippi actually a few days ago. Once in a blue moon, we get snow. It's been in the 30s here, which is beyond cold for me. And you made it to the 60s today, so I was very excited about that.
Well, I would just die for that, but I'll stay put where I am right now. But, it is a pleasure to have you here, Dr. Barton. I just wanted to I love to just get a sense that, every nurse educator has a back end story. Why did you choose nursing? You're a Southern can I dare call you a Southern Belle?
Of course, that's a compliment. Yes.
Thank you. You are. You epitomize that.
Good.
And,
I like
in Mississippi, what was your passion that really led you to pursue nursing and then that translation to nursing education? Because you're relatively young and you had a sense that you made the transition at a relatively early stage in your career. So I just love to get your back end story and then we're going to go forward.
Yeah, sure. So growing up, I knew I always wanted to help others. That was what my heart said to do, is just to help others. And while I was in college, an advisor recommended nursing to me. And I thought, well, sure, what a better way to help people. And through the career, I've learned that the beauty of nursing is helping people, populations, all ages, and there's such a variety and beauty in the career of nursing. So I'm glad God led me to that path of nursing. While I was working at a plastic surgery clinic, we had a school of nursing come through. And so I took a nursing student to the room and I taught her how to take out staples. And at that moment, I realized this is what I want to do. I knew I wanted to go beyond my BSN. I never was really sure about which direction I wanted to go. But when I had that interaction with the student and I saw her eyes light up when she got to take out staples and she was so excited, I said, this is where I want to be. And it wasn't long until my husband said, hey, you need to go check out William Carey. I know this lady there. I met her. She said, come see her. And probably within a week, I was registered. I just started with one class and I said, okay, I'm nervous about getting my master's. I'll start with one class and see if I can do it. And lo and behold, I could do it and graduated. And the MSN was the MSN program at William Carey, focusing on nursing education. So it was exactly what I wanted to do. And from there, after I got my degree, I did clinical practice education and then moved into academia in 2011 at William Carey. And really developed my love for academic nursing education and teaching people how to be nurses. From there, I got my PhD in nursing education and administration at William Carey. And that's what opened the door for me to do what I'm doing today. So not only is my current passion helping students become nurses, I still teach in the pre-licensure program, but now my passion is also helping nurses get a graduate degree and help them flourish their career in that way.
And, we do have a shortage of nurse educators, Dr. Barton. And I think that, really that graduate level work is really proactive to really address that problem. And, one of the things, as you look at, I kind of identified your current role already. But I'd love to really identify and understand the accelerated PhD program. I never heard of such a thing. And I know it's something that's relatively unique. I don't know if there's other programs out there, but I know that William Carey University, there's a story or a vision that kind of led to this. And just give us kind of the vision of this, option that educators have to get their terminal degree and to get it relatively quickly through a guided dissertation process.
So yes, there is a shortage of nursing faculty. There is an even more shortage of PhD prepared nursing faculty and PhD prepared nurses in general. There's a shortage of that. And so nursing needs research, needs evidence to back everything that we do. So several years ago, William Carey University did a barrier study and a needs assessment to see what is the need out there, what are the challenges with getting a PhD, how can we help nurses get their PhD, and how can we help fill this need and meet this gap. And so that's what led to the creation of the PhD in Nursing Education Administration program. And it started in 2012 with the first cohort, and we admit annually in the fall. So there's been a cohort admitted every year since. So one of the unique features about our program is that you can complete the PhD in 2 years. It's rigorous. Dr. Keith RN can tell you it's a rigorous program, and 2 years is challenging, but it can be done. And Dr. Keith RN is witness to that. But if 2 years is too much and too fast, then we also have a 3-year option that is considered our part-time option. And if that's still too much too fast, you've got more time. So I try very hard to work with students to meet students where they are. Generally, most people will be fine with the 2 or 3 year plan. So it's up to you. And if you're interested, I'm happy to show you the differences in each plan. Another way that we are able to get our students to graduate in an efficient manner is we have what we call a guided dissertation. And with that dissertation, we incorporate the student learning research and learning the dissertation process from start to finish within the coursework. So students are working on coursework with about a third of the classes focusing on nursing education at the doctoral level, about a third of the classes focusing on nursing administration, whether it's the practice setting or the academic setting. Many of the concepts are similar. And then the other third or so of the classes is research and dissertation. So you're working on that while you're working on your classes. And we have, with the guided dissertation, we have set deadlines and set times for when each part of the dissertation should be due, should be ready, should be turned in. So that helps the student stay on track with the dissertation and not get delayed. We provide a committee, a major professor, a chair, a second reader, and a statistician. So that's put together for the student, and that's also a big help. We give timely feedback and we help guide the student along the way. The research is completely student driven, but you've got a good guide to help you along through that process.
Yeah. I found, I had my master's in nursing education, Dr. Barton, was my master's, though not all masters prepared are, many are practitioners. But for myself, what I would really appreciated that really made it doable for me in a 2-year process was that I received literally, I think, every master's level nursing curriculum program dovetailed with your curriculum, and I received credit for that and didn't have to retake it. So I could just focus on the doctoral graduate courses and not have to redo any of the master's level content, and really made it doable. It was about 2 courses every term, 10-week terms. And, it took me average about 15 hours a week. But it was rigorous because when you're spinning other platters, it's sometimes it's more than that, sometimes a little less, but I found it really doable and really appreciated that for those that have their master's in nursing ed, made it, that having that credit for those coursework made it really doable for me. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, and let me dovetail on that, Keith. We do allow transfer credit. And within the curriculum, we have 4 classes that are at the 600 level, which is the master's levels. At our program or university, it's considered master's level. So those classes that Keith was talking about that transfer in, he took similar classes in his master's program. So 3 of the classes are nursing education and 1 is nursing administration. So you could look within your master's program to see if you took similar classes. It's a simple process. You send me the syllabus from when you took the course. We see what it matches with ours, and if it's equivalent, then we can consider transfer credit. So that can knock out some of the classes. And if you don't have your master's in nursing education or graduate level preparation, you really need those foundational steps before you can get to the doctoral level with the nursing education administration classes. So they're a good way to get you into the graduate education that way. If you haven't had those classes in your master's program, you can take them. That's why we have them. So we do have nurse practitioners, for example, who come into our program who may not have had an administrative class, may not have had nursing education classes. And so we have it built into the curriculum for you. You mentioned 10 weeks. So William Carey is unique in that we have trimesters at William Carey, which is a 10-week term. So we have 3 10-week terms plus the summer. And so the program goes year round. So if you do the 2-year program, you're looking at 2 to 3 classes per term. That's what Keith was talking about. He had roughly 2 to 3 classes per term. So your terms are 10 weeks. So I like a 10-week term. You're able to get in, learn it, submit your assignments, and before you know it, you're registering and moving on to the next term. So I do love that about our program. We are a 10-week program. So when you're looking at the 2-year plan, you're looking at 4 terms a year for 2 years, and the 3-year plan is 4 terms a year for 3 years. And again, we can adjust after that if we need to.
And one thing you didn't mention, Dr. Barton, was in essence the the kind of hybrid online philosophy, which is unique. It's not complete, let's just go back to pre-COVID, because that's going to come back eventually. Now we're all online like everybody else who doesn't want to be online in the traditional undergrad setting. But in essence, the model that you have had is a hybrid online program. And I'd just like you to explain it and what that looks like. And I'll kind of maybe add an editorial comment or two.
Okay, sure. So yes, this program began in 2012 as a hybrid program, and it has continued since. We have assessed, evaluated faculty and students, and they all say, don't get rid of the face-to-face. They love the face-to-face interaction. So the way that we are able to have face-to-face with students from all over the U.S. is that we meet at the Hattiesburg campus, which is in South Mississippi. It's beautiful and warm and sunny, but we meet at the Hattiesburg campus once every term. So Monroe said there's 4 terms a year, so we meet at the Hattiesburg campus 4 times a year, and it's a weekend meeting. It's a Friday and Saturday, and we meet towards the end of each term. So about once every 3 months, you'll come to the Hattiesburg, Mississippi campus. And between that time, we use Canvas as our online learning platform. So you still engage with your classmates and your faculty between. And what I love about the weekend class meetings is when we meet on Friday of the class meeting, you're wrapping up your current class. And the very next day on that Saturday, you're meeting with your upcoming class. So before the class even begins, you can meet your faculty, you can get with your peers, you can go ahead and assign groups and figure out who's going to do what for the assignments. And so academically, that's one of the beauties, I think, of the weekend class meeting. Personally, I loved the interaction with the peers and the faculty face-to-face. I have made some of my best friends through the trenches, going through the nursing program together. And I'm sure that Keith and Marianne, who's going to be here later, can attest to that. But there's such a bonding and learning experience that you can gain from face-to-face interaction from nurse educators and administrators, practitioners from all over the U.S. There is such a value in that face-to-face. And yes, COVID messed that up. But what we've done to compensate is we have done our face-to-face meetings synchronous online. And I know that's pretty much what the whole world has done with things that were normally face-to-face. We've moved it to virtual, where we still can engage together in those class meetings. And I, like the rest of the world, am ready to be face-to-face. I miss seeing my students, and I'm eager to get back to the face-to-face format.
And, I would say, Dr. Barton, for myself, is that, you're absolutely right. Having the chance, a totally online program, there really is a disconnection, especially with a lot of the completely online programs. And for me, the chance to meet your cohort on day 1 with orientation, that you're on campus. William Carey is a beautiful campus, and they have the best value for their cafeteria. For $6, that spread of a buffet is like, it's worth the trip, as well as the friendships and meeting faculty. So Marianne will testify to that I always love the food, and it's good food. So, but the friendships and the campus and the weather, escaping Minnesota, because we had students all across the country. Now, a lot of the students are from the South. They're from your geographic kind of catchment area with maybe a 300-mile radius. But you had some Northerners, you had some New Yorkers, and Marianne, who's going to join us here shortly, is from California, making the trek every 3 months. And actually, it was kind of a highlight. It's good to get out for a couple days, and it's like a little mini vacation. And so I really valued that. I really appreciated the chance to connect with professors, your colleagues, and, just developing those lifelong relationships that can really, we can continue to network. And in a real powerful way, it just makes that possible, Dr. Barton.
Yes, and we understand there is a travel expense involved in that. And so we've done what we can to get some hotel discounts in the area, which is a benefit. And many students will carpool together to share on that. Some will share a hotel room together to share on that. So that's helpful. But we're also do our very best to keep costs as low as possible. Our tuition and fees, in my opinion, are very competitive, and we do not charge out-of-state tuition. So we recognize that there is a travel expense involved, and so we do our very best to keep costs contained to where it's feasible for students.
Yeah. You want to share what the cost per credit is? You want to keep that on the website? Because I thought it was like, you have the best value You have the quality that I really was impressed with, Dr. Barton. But, when you look at other doctoral PhD credits compared to William Carey, I thought, it was an incredible value compared to the cost of a typical PhD program. So,
yes, I think we are at $560 or $580 per credit hour. Don't quote me on that. But you can go to wmcarey.edu. It's wmcarey.edu. And you can click on the student accounts or business office page, and it shows you all the tuition and fees. And I think it's important when you look at overall cost to look at fees, because sometimes fees can be quite outrageous. So I encourage you to look at the big picture too. So our tuition and fees page has that information, and we don't charge extra or any other additional fees for out of state. We welcome students from out of state and all over the U.S. We love the collaboration with people all over the U.S.
No, that's great. And I have some questions from the chat. Can I just show those and get those going so we don't so we keep that going? And
Sure.
One of the questions, I'll just pop them on the screen, Dr. Barton, and you'll see them. Does William Carey University participate in the faculty loan forgiveness program?
We don't. I think you're talking about the nurse faculty loan program. We have looked into it in the past, and at this time we are currently not participating. What I recommend to students who are looking for scholarship and financial aid is I encourage you to look and see what's out there. Oftentimes I have a Canvas shelf for our doctoral students, and so I'm constantly posting announcements about scholarships on the Canvas forum. There's a lot of agencies out there who are promoting nursing education and graduate education. And so there are scholarships out there. So I encourage students to do that. Look through your Board of Nursing, look through your State Nurses Association, your employer. There's various ways to get funds out there.
Got another question here, Dr. Barton. Is the program accredited?
I get this question all the time. So our university is SACS accredited for the Southern region. That's the accrediting agency. So William Carey University is SACS accredited. Our School of Nursing is CCNE accredited. Now, the CCNE does not currently accredit PhD programs and nursing programs, and there is not an accrediting body for the PhD nursing program. I do get that question a lot. So yes, our program is accredited, and the accreditation is through SACS.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing. Let's get another question here. Another one on financial. Are there any tuition discounts?
Well, I do believe there are some military benefit discounts. So if you're in the military, contact me and I can research that further. But they're not a standing tuition discount.
Okay.
Like I said, we try to keep our tuition as low as feasible.
Yeah, no, and it is. I thought it was incredibly reasonable compared to almost some programs were 3 times as much for PhD credits, depending on the program. So yes.
Right. So we try to keep that in mind, and we do our very best to keep that cost.
So we appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
This question: can someone transfer credits from other university? I am currently enrolled in an EDD, but would love to get a PhD if I can.
So yes, we accept transfer credit as long as it's from an accredited university. For the PhD program, we accept 15 transfer credit hours. So you could look at what you've taken in your master's program and your EDD program and see if we've got similar classes that could work. So yes, we accept it from another university, and we can take it case by case, and the max is 15 credit hours. We do have a DNP to PhD program. What that program is for DNPs who want a PhD and want doctoral level education in nursing education and want to learn the research process. So we have DNPs who come to our PhD in nursing education program. And that program is 2 years part-time, 1 to 2 classes per term for 2 years. So with that program, that's a maximum of 6 transfer credit hours, and we automatically award 21 credit hours for having the DNP towards that 60-hour degree.
Okay, excellent. Got another question here. Is there a plan when the F2F part will return? I'm not quite sure what that acronym is, but you can clarify that.
As soon as we're given permission to, we are ready, and I would love to be back face to face. So I told you we meet 4 times a year. So the next meeting is coming up in February, and with COVID, it's crazy everywhere, and in Mississippi as well. So we made the decision to keep that virtual and synchronous. So the next meeting coming up is at the end of April, beginning of May, and we are hoping to go face to face for that. I don't have an answer yet. We're waiting to hear from how our university directs us, and we'll go from there. Ultimately, even if we don't get back face to face in May, I'm praying that for fall, for our new cohort, new admission, that we get to be back face to face. The fall cohort from last year, it was COVID, so we had to do a virtual orientation, and I'm so eager to meet those face to face and let them see our campus and tour our buildings. So I pray that May or hopefully August, either one, I'm ready to get back.
Awesome. Thanks. Another question. What is the cost of the program? And so maybe we could do a simple math. For someone who has credits that maybe in a typical master's program that I was able to and had like 2 classes consistently per term, about how many credits, so someone could just do the math real quickly to get a ballpark when they're kind of looking at this, Dr. Barton, might be helpful. So like what would be
the program overall, the PhD program is 60 hours. So if you get 6 hours of transfer credit, it knocks it down. And then, if you get 15 hours of transfer credit, if you've got some doctoral classes that could transfer, then it would knock it down as well, which is always beneficial. So you have to kind of look at the max for tuition would be per credit hour for 60 credit hours. And with the 2-year program, your full-time is 9 credit hours at William Carey because we're on 10-week terms. So 9 hours of graduate is considered full-time. So if you're doing the 2-year plan, you're going to be at least at 9 credit hours per term. So if that helps you do the math, kind of at least for tuition per term. And then you can look at our tuition and fees page to see what kind of fees you'd be looking at per term. But if you need me to help give you more detail and break it down for you, just send me an email and I'll be happy to help you further with that. And I do believe that on our financial aid or business office page, they have a tuition calculator. That's very neat and very helpful. And if cost and paying as you go is something that is very important to you, and I'm sure it is for everyone, if you need to spread out that cost, then do the 3-year plan. We do have a few students who need to pay as they go and can't afford to do 3 classes per term or 2 classes per term. And so they take longer to get their degree done, but it meets their needs. So we're happy to help work with you as best we can.
Awesome. Well, there's a few other questions out there, but I'm going to hold those for just a couple minutes because I want to bring in my colleague,
yes,
Marianne Bianganay, who we were a band of brothers and a band of sisters, were we not?
We absolutely were.
When we go back to kind of what was and that whole journey, Marianne, it's like, we really, I'm just really thankful for the opportunity just because, we did group projects. William Carey likes group projects. Let me just so if you like working in small groups to get things done and you kind of find your little niche, it just makes the process much easier. But, for you, Marianne, what was your reason that you decided to basically, you're from California. I don't know how California and Mississippi connected because I don't know where you kind of came across, but what really was your reason for pursuing, number one, your PhD, and then ultimately going to William Carey on the West Coast?
I always wanted to go back to school and get a PhD. It was the goal from day one. And there are things that happen in life that just maybe shake your self-confidence a little bit. And so every time I would think about going back, I would talk myself right out of it. I had a wonderful job. I was working with nursing students and with faculty. And I just thought, I have my master's degree in nursing education. I'm kind of living the dream. I'm good, right? And then I was doing some consulting, and I met a colleague who was also a student at William Carey at the time, who ended up graduating a year prior to me in the program, or prior to us actually, and Dr. Patty Beamer, if anyone knows her. But I got to talking with her, and she was going on, and she was so excited about this program and loving it so much and learning. And I'm like, could you tell me a little bit more? And I asked the same of her. Why did she pick William Carey? And she listed a litany of things, and a lot of what Dr. Barton talked about already, right? The guided dissertation process to support, the ability to be on campus and be online and still have that collegial engagement with other peers. And that got me really excited. But the thing that really, aside from, crowdsourcing advice, I think, which we all do, asking friends, other colleagues, do you think I should do this? I met Dr. Barton. I reached out to her. She happened to be at a conference that I was at after my initial outreach, and there was just a connection. And I can't even still explain it today. I just felt this warmth and care, and like somebody who truly wanted me to be successful. And she didn't know me but for a minute, but already felt like I could do it. And so I thought, if there was going to be someone there like her who had enough confidence in my abilities, then I certainly should have confidence in my own. And I just thought I was going to go for it. And I love being in the South. So that for me was just icing on the cake.
Yeah. And for you, Marianne, what would be your advice to anybody else who's kind of like, they're on the fence? It's like, it's a time commitment. It's a financial commitment. It's a life commitment, but it's like, to me, I didn't want to live with regrets. I didn't want to, at 55, it was now or never, to be brutally honest. I wasn't going to do this at 60. It was like now or never. And, I'm just curious for you, what would you advise anyone else?
I will tell you that I had a really good friend who was a dean at a school in Central California. And for years, he would tell me, go back to school, go back to school. And at the time, it was for my master's. And I had one excuse after another. I didn't have the money. I had 4 kids. I was married. I mean, I could create a litany of things that would be barriers or self-imposed barriers I would put in my way. And mostly it was really around self-confidence. When it came to the PhD program, I felt myself doing the same thing. But then I thought, here I am, a single parent, raising kids, and I wanted to set a positive example for them. I didn't want them to see a mom who was lacking in self-confidence, but telling them to be confident in their abilities and their knowledge. I felt like it was time for me to show them what that looked like, what persistence looked like, what hard work looked like, and what Dr. Barton, don't cringe, but what having grit looks like, right? Wanting to meet a goal so bad, you can almost taste it. You just kind of don't know how to get there. And I would say, never be afraid. If you don't think you have the money will show up. I didn't think I would have the money. All of a sudden, my boss said, we do tuition reimbursement. So just make good grades and we'll always pay you on the back end. So don't worry about it. And the only semester I put up front money for was the first one. And then it just kind of was cyclic after that. And so every time I worried about the money, it always kind of showed up. Every time I thought I was going to be worried about being stretched too thin of working a full-time job and managing my kids and our household and everything else, it always just seemed to happen. And Keith knows where my heart is, but I leave everything in God's hands. I don't worry about anything because I know my path is paved for me. And I believe that anybody that is on this webinar tonight can absolutely achieve that same goal.
Yeah. And, I just, and when I look back, man, I would just like to close and just say a very big thank you for your support And just the time that, we had to really not only just, develop that relationship to get through school, but through everything else. I mean, it was not, I mean, I'm never in the military, but I can get when you're going through the stress. I mean, it was a doable stress, but it was a stress.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, through that crucible, we got through it together. And I just want to thank you, because I don't think I could have. I'm a little bit too flighty, and you are grounded, and you kept me from going out in the weeds and out in the clouds and just brought me back. And you know what? I just want to say thank you so much. So
you're welcome. We all helped each other, and that's really the beauty of the program. I've made some wonderful friends, and I actually saw a faculty member or two here on this webinar tonight. I'm going to shout out Dr. Spring because I see her on here. And you want to talk about a faculty member who will light your fire. She is one of them. So yeah, you really, if you are thinking about it, please consider William Carey. And I would have never met Keith. And I would have never met so many other people that I talk to almost on a daily basis now.
Yeah, we got to make a shout out to the Fab Four.
That's
it was
right.
Our colleagues Marina and Kat. You couldn't make this up. It was Marina, Marianne, Kat, and Keith. And together we got through those group projects, went through the fire together, and we successfully completed.
That's right. That's right.
Well, listen, I'm going to bring in Dr. Barton. Thanks, Marianne, for joining us tonight.
All right. Thank you so much.
You bet. Thank you. And Dr. Barton, welcome back. I want to just give you the final shout out here. Number one is that I want you to basically tell us about next steps. And I have a few more questions. So really, I want to close this with just your kind of like, what's the next steps for those that are interested in just basically learning more? And just kind of want to explore. I can kind of, I'll start with your email. You don't mind an email, do you? Is that
That's great.
Good. So she's your advisor. You're still in that advisor role, correct?
Right. Yes.
So she wants your email. So there you go, jbarton@wmcarey.edu. But what other opportunities, or what would you encourage students? What would that look like to get the information they need to kind of just digest it, percolate it, and decide next steps?
Yes. So if you're listening and you're like, I'm contacting Dr. Barton tomorrow and I'm getting started, go for it. Yes. If you are thinking, I don't know, maybe one day, I don't know about my PhD, I'm scared of a dissertation, I don't know if I could do it, contact Dr. Barton tomorrow. Let me talk to you. Let me explain our program. Let me answer your questions. And, whether you're ready to start tomorrow or you need to ponder it for a year, I'm here for you, and I'm here to work you through that process and to stay in touch. So is what I would say is the next step is just to contact me and let's develop a relationship and let's chat about it. We could set up a phone call. We could set up a WebEx, whatever works for you. I'll be happy to do that and get in touch with you. But that was what I would say is to take the leap. Like Marianne said, she wasn't sure, and there's 1,000 excuses not to, but take the leap. And I remember when I was considering doing the PhD program, I was working for Carey at the time, and they said, hey, we're getting this new PhD program started. You want to do it? And I said, no, I'm not ready. I've got young kids. I'm going to wait till they're old. And I'm teaching. I've got a full-time job, the litany of the list, like Marianne said. So there's lots of reasons not to, but I just jumped and I did it. And I can't explain enough how having that degree opened doors I never dreamed I wanted open. When I started the PhD program, never did I dream I wanted to be the coordinator of it. I didn't think I was capable. But as I went through that program and have grown through that program and entered this role, I love it. And so it will open doors for you years down the road, or maybe even before you graduate, that you never dreamed you wanted. And there may be doors that you want open that you want, and you need this PhD to get there. So it can open up those doors as well. So I encourage you to just contact me and take the leap.
Yeah, and I would just, basically, Dr. Barton, I'd also give a shout out to you and just give a very big thank you, because you were in those early days, just maybe reaching out, you were supportive. I got emails within hours after sending them. You were just, you were responsive, and, basically just really for, just even that process, you made it easy. it was really, it's like, some of us haven't been to school for years and it's kind of intimidating, but
yes, absolutely.
You were a female version of John the Baptist carrying the way for educating, for students such as myself. And I want to thank you for that.
Well, it's my pleasure and it's my joy. And I remember what it's like not fully understanding what it is, what a program is. I remember what it was like to take my first MSN class, and it is scary and it is intimidating. Yep. And so I understand that people need help and have questions. And so I'm happy to fulfill that for them.
Awesome. Well, listen, I got several more questions. We're going to try to run through these as we're kind of running out of time, but you know what? We'll get every question answered. And so if you've got a question in the chat, if you've got any questions that Dr. Barton hasn't addressed yet that you just like a quick answer to, feel free to put that right now, because we'll run through these. And when they're done, we're going to call it a night, and want to thank you all for watching. So let me just start from the next one that we didn't get to yet, Dr. Barton. Again, list of courses that would transfer in from Walden in their MSN Nursing Ed. Do you have kind of any documentation or anything that would facilitate that, or you just need to do it personally?
So let me tell you, when I first started as program coordinator, we evaluate course by course, syllabus by syllabus. And after a couple of years of doing it, I thought, should probably keep a list so I can know which classes we've accepted in the past. So I don't per se have a Walden list and another university list, but I do have a running list from when I started. So what I would recommend that you do is contact me, gather your syllabi from the term you took those classes. And after you're accepted at the program, then we are able to award transfer credit. But just over the phone or looking at it unofficial, I could kind of give you an estimate of what I think might transfer, but it's going to come down to acceptance, reviewing the syllabi, and then determining final credit. But I'd be more than happy to look at an unofficial transcript or talk to you and help you figure that out.
Okay, thank you so much. And Teresa asked a similar question, a list of courses from Western Governors University. Do you have a master's list from them or not so much? And again, just
same situation. Yeah, same situation. We can look at your transcript and look at your classes and go from there. So just shoot me an email and we can discuss it.
Awesome. Here's another question. Do you require a graduate level stats class or the GRE?
Okay, these are great questions. So for our admission criteria, you can look at our website and see our full admission criteria. The GRE is not required for admission. We do have a writing requirement that we require before you start the program. That writing requirement can be met in one of two ways. You could either take the GRE or have it within 5 years and have a 4.0 on the writing section, or you could take our writing class. Our writing class is fully online the summer before you would start the program. We admit every year in the fall. So for fall 21 admission, we're gearing up to get ready for the summer NUR 799, which is the writing class. So you just have to have a B or higher in that class in the summer. So GRE 4.0 on the writing section or a B or higher in our writing class. 99% of our students take the writing class. Many of them are out of practice with writing, APA format, and it's a great start to be ready for doctoral level writing when you hit the ground running. Yep. So I recommend the writing class. I think it's a great foundation. So you could do that or the other. And again, it's 2 credit hours and we offer it in the summer, and you have to be accepted before you can take that class. So acceptance to the program is not dependent on it, but you do have to have that met before you start in the fall. Now for statistics, we require that you have a statistics class, any level, it can be undergraduate, within the last 10 years. So if you have that, then that gets you ready for the research class because it's a prerequisite for the research class. If you do the 2-year program, you got to have it ready for this fall. If you do the 3-year program, it would be the next year. You would need to have that. But what we offer is we have a 1 credit hour, fully online, statistics refresher course for doctoral students. So if you haven't had a statistics class in 10 years, you can take that. We have students who do meet the criteria but are not comfortable with statistics and want that refresher anyway and take it. So we do have those 2 options. So I do believe that answers the question. We don't require graduate level statistics prior to the program. An undergraduate's fine. And when you're in the program, you'll take a graduate level statistics.
A similar question is, are there prerequisites for getting into the program. So is there what are those prerequisites, Dr. Barton, specifically? Are they just the statistics in the writing class? Or
there's not really a course requirement for a prerequisite. You have to meet the admission criteria. So a 3.5 on your MSN from an accredited nursing program. Got to pass a criminal background check, some of the basic things. So there's not a particular class or courses that you have to have other than the prereq writing statistics class, like I was talking about, in the pre-program writing.
Okay. And here's a similar question, Dr. Barton, on the 3-year option. Do you have to take the classes in order? Would you have to wait until they're offered again to get back on track? So it's like, how structured is it? And I'll let you answer that.
Sure. I'm happy to answer that. It is very structured because we admit once a year. And we have a set plan of study for 2-year students, a set plan of study for 3-year students. So if you stray from that plan, that course might not be available for a year. So I work very closely with students on their plan of study. If something happens, they can't take a class that term, or work's rough, or whatever the reason may be, then we adjust the plan of study. But it will add time more than likely to your degree. So what I encourage all of our students to do is we keep you on that 2 or 3-year plan, whichever you prefer. And if something changes and you need to change your plan of study, I work closely with you because I know what classes are offered when, and I help you figure out your plan if you stray and need to stray from that 2 or 3-year options. I think that answers that question.
Good. Thank you so much. Just another question. We're kind of getting towards the end. Do you need to have a research project before starting the program, or what would you advise? Because, I went in, Dr. Barton, I knew what my dissertation study was going to be on, the use of unfolding case studies to develop clinical judgment, and really then had that lens of what I wanted to do, and then really just began to try to develop the most robust study to basically implement. And so what would you advise someone to kind of, how much do they need to know about what that dissertation research and what their topic should be? Great question.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I get it all the time. You do not have to have a research project ready to roll. We teach you how to develop your topic. We teach you how to develop your dissertation. And that's part of the learning of getting your PhD and taking those research classes. If you already have a passion, then go that way. If you have 5 passions, start trying to narrow it down to what you are most passionate about and want to dig into for your study and be the expert on. You don't have to have it. So the way our dissertation process works is we have NUR 752, which is a research class. You learn all about research. Then you'll take NUR 753, which is a research development. And in that class is where you really refine your topic. So I would encourage you now, just start thinking. And anytime you have an idea, and I did this when I was a student, anytime you have an idea of what you might want to do for your dissertation, get a Word document and put it there. Put it on a note in your phone so that when it comes time to start thinking of ideas and topics that you want to do, you've got your list and you can narrow down from there. I would encourage you now, just if you want to start working on your topic, to just get into literature. Start looking and seeing what's out there, where's a gap, what you're most passionate about, so you can get the topic an idea. And a side note to that is, if you do the 2-year plan, you hit the ground running getting your research ready. So if you're planning to do the 2-year plan and planning to start this fall, then start thinking strongly now about what you might want your topics to be. You don't have to have it defined, but start thinking. If you want to do the 3-year plan, you won't start that research process until a year later. So that gives you that extra time to be thinking about what you want to do.
And what I would add to that, Dr. Barton, is that you've got to be passionate and love your topic, because you are married to this. You're going to revise it. You're going to polish it dozens of times from the very beginning. And if you don't really love your topic or aren't passionate about your topic, it's going to be drudgery and it's going to be very painful. But if you really are passionate and you have something that really interests you and you want to relieve this splinter in your brain that this topic could address and help other educators and add to the body of knowledge, it'll be much easier. So I would just add that piece of advice, because I found that to be very helpful.
Yes.
because I love my topic and I was willing to do the work and I loved it.
And you became the expert at it.
I did. And that's what I really valued. Another takeaway from the process.
Good.
I just got one more question here. We've already, Mila, we've already talked about tuition. So please go back to the live stream and and you can, this link is available. But I think the very last question I have, Dr. Barton, is this: are the online classes asynchronous or are they online live classes? Great question.
Okay, great question. So without COVID, right, we have our class meetings that are face-to-face the 4 weekends a year. In between that, most of those weeks are asynchronous. There's pretty much going to be an assignment that you turn in every week, but most of that's asynchronous. There may be a time within that where the professor wants to meet asynchronous or meet synchronously online in between those class meetings. For example, Dr. Hart and Dr. Mahaffey, they are 2 of our chairs for the dissertation process, and something that they have implemented this term is having, like, I think weekly or bi-weekly synchronous meetings where people can just come on and ask questions, which I think is incredible. So there may be some synchronous online meetings in between the time, but for a majority of it, it's asynchronous in between those class meetings. Currently, the class meetings are synchronous all day depending on when you take your classes, but on those Fridays, Saturdays where we would normally meet to face, that currently is online. But again, hopefully, I pray COVID will be significantly improved, or we can get back face to face and get back to some normalcy.
Yeah, I think we're all looking forward to that.
Yes.
So you know what, that's the last question. I just like to know if you have a closing comment or just anything that just a loose end that you'd like to share that hasn't been addressed, or is there any other thoughts or a closing comment?
The only other thing I would say is thank you, Dr. Keith RN, for tonight. And I hope that those of you listening have been inspired to further your education. I don't know if there are some listening who are interested in getting a master's. Maybe you have a bachelor's now and you're interested in a master's in nursing education. I'm the coordinator for that program as well. So if you're interested in your master's, connect with me. If you're interested in your PhD, please connect with me. I would love to speak with you and help you along further. And I did see some of the comments that we have some of our current students who have joined in with us tonight. So I'm very excited about that. And, you know, I'm completely biased on our program, completely. But I think a testament to our program is our graduates and our current students who say, I had a good experience, I learned a lot. Do it. And I think that speaks volumes. And so I appreciate all our students, all our faculty, all our graduates out there who are helping spread the word about William Carey. And I just want to thank you all for joining in tonight and giving me and Dr. Keith RN your time.
Yeah. No, it's a blessing, Dr. Barton. It's really my pleasure to have you here with us tonight. And really just, you know, I had it was a rigorous experience, but it was a real positive experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really want to let other educators know that this option is there and to get the word out. So thank you for making that possible.
Yeah, I thank you all. And I look forward to hopefully connecting with all of you out there.
All right. Blessings, Dr. Barton. Have a good night. And thank you again for everything.
All right. You as well. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care. And I'll just close with one last thought is that if you join us in 2 weeks, I'll be having Donna Ignatavicius, or Iggy, as many of you know her, who's going to join me in this chat to talk about next-gen NCLEX and how to strengthen and develop clinical judgment in nursing education. So I hope that 2 weeks from today at 8 p.m. Central, join us and look forward to serving your needs. And thank you again for joining us, and have a great night and a great semester and year. Blessings and take care.